Prince Harry reveals he was targeted by press leaks after private convos with royal family. The tailor caught in the middle of Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle's bridesmaid dress fight is speaking out. House Republican tells Kevin McCarthy to start governing for a change, says she won't vote to boot Ilhan Omar off of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Trump tries to intervene as Navarro faces trial for defying January 6 committee. King Charles may exclude Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from balcony coronation celebration.
This is breaking news.
I'm Erin Burnett in Washington.
Prince Harry reveals he was targeted by press leaks after private convos with royal family. Prince Harry's new memoir, Spare, is set to release next week, and his first interview to promote it was with Anderson Cooper on CBS Mornings. In a clip from their discussion, the Duke of Sussex shared another difficult aspect of his relationship to the royal family. He alleges that every time he tries to discuss an issue with someone privately, a slew of negative stories about himself and wife Meghan Markle pops up in the press. Every single time I've tried to do it privately, there have been briefings and leakings and planting of stories against me and my wife, he told Cooper. You know, the family motto is never complain, never explain, but it's just a motto. He went on, there's a lot of complaining and a lot of explaining being done through leaks. They will feed or have a conversation with the correspondent, Prince Harry explained. And that correspondent will literally be spoon-fed information and write the story. And at the bottom of it they will say that they've reached out to Buckingham Palace for comment. But the whole story is Buckingham Palace commenting. So when we're being told for the last 6 years, we can't put a statement out to protect you. But you do it for other members of the family. There becomes a point when silence is betrayal. Harry and Meghan eventually stepped down as working members of the royal family and made a new home in the States. In their new Netflix docuseries titled Harry and Meghan, the couple discuss how often they were being followed by the press and how miserable it was making the Duchess. The couple felt as though they had no support and were often used to distract from other scandals or issues with different royal family members. The tailor caught in the middle of Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle's bridesmaid dress fight is speaking out. Prince Harry spilled details of Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle's tense drama over bridesmaid dresses in his memoir, Spare, and by that I mean he dropped their literal text exchange. In case you missed this whole thing, which, doubtful, Kate texted Meghan ahead of the royal wedding, saying, Charlotte's dress is too big, too long, too baggy. She cried when she tried it on at home. Meghan then wrote back, right, and I told you the tailor has been standing by since 8 a.m. here. At KP. Can you take Charlotte to have it altered, as the other mums are doing? Truly so awkward already, but at another point, Meghan wrote, I'm not sure what else to say. If the dress doesn't fit, then please take Charlotte to see Ajay. He's been waiting all day. And now? Now the tailor caught in the middle of this drama, Ajay Murphy, is speaking out. Murphy told the Daily Mail that he, alongside 3 staff members, worked at Kensington Palace and Windsor Castle for 4 days due to none of the bridesmaids' dresses, designed by Givenchy, fitting. But he wasn't around to witness any drama. If anything happened in the background, it didn't happen in front of me, Murphy explained. But yes, weddings are stressful at the best of times, and especially one at this high level, you've got to respect that. They were faced with a problem like anyone gets at a wedding, with last-minute hitches. I can understand why anybody would be upset if the dresses weren't fitting, it's nerve-wracking. I feel for them all, because you wouldn't want the children to go out on a big stage in an ill-fitting dress, and that's what they were. He continued, all 6 bridesmaids' dresses had to be fixed, and we did it. I'm a royalist and I wanted to do whatever I could with my small business to serve the royal family. We just got our heads down and said, now we're here, we've got to fix it so that on the day, Britain comes off well. Had this book not come out, no one would have known it was us. But if it saved the day, it saved the day, and good luck to them. I won't say it upsets me, but in that whole big event, the row, is what's spoken about the most. It should be the fact that they, the bridesmaids, looked fabulous. House Republican tells Kevin McCarthy to start governing for a change, says she won't vote to boot Ilhan Omar off of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. McCarthy is set to hold a vote on removing Ilhan Omar from the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He cited Omar's previous comments on Israel as well as previous votes to do the same to Republicans. But Representative Victoria Spartz won't vote for the resolution and says McCarthy should start governing. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is preparing to hold a floor vote in the coming weeks on removing Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota from the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, citing previous comments from Omar perceived as anti-Semitic and what he says was a precedent set by House Democrats. But at least one House Republican, Representative Victoria Spartz of Indiana, has firmly declared that she will not vote for the resolution. Speaker McCarthy is taking unprecedented actions this Congress to deny some committee assignments to the minority without proper due process again, Spartz said in a statement on Tuesday. As I spoke against it on the House floor 2 years ago, I will not support this charade again. Speaker McCarthy needs to stop bread and circuses in Congress and start governing for a change. It's not the first time Spartz has emerged as a critic of McCarthy. During the 4 days that the House voted on electing a new speaker, Spartz began to vote present as the roll call votes rolled on, arguing that votes were wasting everyone's time. In her statement on Tuesday, Spartz referenced bipartisan votes during the previous Congress to remove Republican Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Paul Gosar of Arizona from committees over their violent rhetoric, saying 2 wrongs do not make a right. She also apparently referenced the impending removal of Democratic Representatives Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff, both of California, from the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries recently argued that it would be a double standard for the 2 Democrats to be removed from the panel while Republican Representative George Santos of New York gets to serve on committees despite a history of fabrications and numerous ethics inquiries. But as House Speaker, McCarthy has the unilateral ability to reject Jeffries' picks for any select committee. But in the case of Omar's seat on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, removing her will require a full vote on the House floor, and McCarthy can only afford to lose a handful of votes given the Republicans' slim majority. Other Republicans have also expressed skepticism about the idea. Omar apologized nearly 3 years ago for her remarks, which included suggesting that support for Israel in the United States is primarily about money. Trump tries to intervene as Navarro faces trial for defying January 6 committee. Donald Trump is once again making a last-ditch bid to help a former aide avoid prosecution for defying the January 6 Select Committee. A lawyer for Trump issued a letter this week endorsing the decision by former White House advisor Peter Navarro to blow off a subpoena from the January 6 Select Committee by making blanket claims of executive privilege. The January 23 letter, filed in federal court, comes less than a week before Navarro is slated to go to trial for contempt of Congress for refusing to appear before the Select Committee last year. This confirms President Trump's position that, as one of his senior advisors, you had an obligation to assert executive privilege on his behalf and fully comply with the principles of confidentiality stated above when you responded to the committee's subpoena, the attorney, Evan Corcoran, wrote on Trump's behalf. The letter appears calculated to undercut the ruling of U.S. District Court Judge Amit Mehta rejecting Navarro's effort to dismiss the cases against him. Mehta noted in a 39-page opinion last week that Navarro had presented no evidence that Trump actually asserted executive privilege on his behalf, even though he made explicit assertions to block the testimony of other former aides. Defendant has failed to come forward with any evidence to support the claimed assertion of privilege, Mehta wrote. And, because the claimed assertion of executive privilege is unproven, defendant cannot avoid prosecution for contempt. Mehta is unlikely to consider Corcoran's letter sufficient to derail Navarro's trial. Navarro had initially claimed in court arguments that Trump told him, during a private conversation, to assert executive privilege before the January 6 committee. But Corcoran's letter makes no reference to such an assertion. It's the second time Trump has made a last-second bid to disrupt the pending contempt trials for aides who defied the Select Committee. Days before longtime ally Steve Bannon faced a criminal trial for contempt, Trump took the opposite tack, writing a letter to Bannon waiving any potential executive privilege and clearing the way for Bannon to testify to the committee. Prosecutors dismissed the gambit as a stunt to disrupt the trial, and Bannon ultimately took no steps to actually comply with the Select Committee's subpoena, even after Trump's explicit permission. Navarro, like Bannon, both claimed that they were categorically immune from appearing before the January 6 committee to discuss their involvement in efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. They said their sensitive conversations with Trump were protected by executive privilege and therefore they could not be compelled by Congress to discuss them. But U.S. District Court Judge Carl Nichols rejected Bannon's contention, noting that long-standing legal precedents don't permit witnesses to defy congressional subpoenas even over assertions of executive privilege. And in both cases, prosecutors noted that there was no evidence Trump had asserted privilege on Bannon or Navarro's behalf.